In today's brief video, I want to take a moment and talk about coping with boredom when you first quit smoking weed. I remember this being something that I majorly struggled with in the beginning of my recovery process. I recently hosted a poll on our channel asking people their primary causes of relapse, and boredom seemed to be the one that took the cake, so we have to address it today. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset recovery coaching programs, which are dedicated to helping people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content, substances that I once struggled with. If you want more information, including a free 7-step guide on quitting weed, be sure to check out the video description and the pinned comment at the end of today's video. When I first quit smoking, I remember dealing with overwhelming feelings of boredom. And that was really odd because I had a lot going on in my life. I was in the process of starting a business. I have a chiropractic office. I was actively dating in my early sobriety process. I lived at home with a family member. So I had activity, but I felt so bored. And this boredom was a very, very uncomfortable feeling to manage and deal with when I first quit smoking weed. Now, what I want you guys to realize is when you first quit smoking, boredom is a completely normal emotion to experience, and it's a really, really good emotion to experience. Boredom means that you're getting your time back. If you're bored, it means that you have excess time to be bored. And that's a really positive thing because when you're stuck in active addiction, addiction takes a lot of your time. It takes a lot of your energy. And the primary reason that a lot of people reach out to me and tell me they want to quit weed, one of the main reasons why I wanted to quit smoking weed, because I was sick and tired of giving my time to something that was giving me nothing in return. So if you're bored and you're feeling bored in your early sobriety, that's a good thing because that means that you're in the process of reclaiming your time. So don't fight the boredom, don't let it frustrate you, celebrate it. Now, when it comes to managing boredom, I think that's a tough topic because what's happened is here you have been smoking weed and now you've quit. And weed was something that you were using to fill your time, which means that you weren't pursuing other activities or other things to fill that time with. So naturally, when you quit smoking weed, of course you're going to be bored. This is expected. If you've spent like I did the last 9 years, the last 10 years, the last 20 years, actively smoking weed every time you felt bored, you weren't developing the new hobbies, the new activities, the new relationships, the new routines to fill that time. Now you've gotten rid of weed. So of course you're going to be bored. This is a completely normal emotion and feeling to have when you first quit. The exciting thing is you've now allowed yourself the opportunity to start to fill in that time. And I have a really big announcement at the end of today's video that I'm pretty excited to share with everyone on the channel. Okay, so when I first quit, I had to start to fill in that time with things. Well, what did I want to do? I knew I wanted to get in better health. So exercise and revisiting exercise was a really good place to start to fill that time when I felt bored, okay? I knew that being in business for myself, I had a lot of work that needed to be done. So I dove right back into my business, putting my attention into growing my business and patient care. That took up a lot of time. I did want to date. In some cases, dating in early recovery can be a really bad idea. In some cases, I don't think it's always a bad idea. It depends on the person. But I knew that I wanted to get back to dating. So I started to fill that time with working on my business, exercising, working on my physical health, including eating healthier, meal prepping, and eventually getting into dating. Now, I was still bored. Even with all those things going on, I was still bored. And what happened? I needed something else to do. That's when I went out and I got my certification in addiction recovery coaching. I'm a big proponent of education and filling our time with things that can bring us value. And I said one day, I'm going to drive out of Buffalo, I'm going to go over to Rochester, and I'm going to spend a week and a half getting certified as an addiction recovery coach. And maybe one day I'll start a business that helps other people quit. And here we are now, 5 years, well, I guess 3.5, 4 years later with that business. So it was out of boredom that I became an addiction recovery coach. And I'll take that even a step further. After I wrapped up that class, it was now building another business, an addiction recovery coaching business. One day I was bored in my office. I didn't have a lot of patients on my chiropractic schedule. I picked up a camera, I picked up my phone, and I started filming videos about addiction recovery. And now we're going to be approaching 50,000 strong on the channel, have helped hundreds, if not thousands of people quitting substances. All of that was born out of boredom. And each time I felt bored, I kept filling in that boredom with something new. Now you got a YouTube channel. Now you got the certification. Well, how do you grow an email list? How do you write an email? How do you get better at videos? How do you get better at editing videos? There was constantly something new to do. And this is why I'm actually a huge fan of entrepreneurship for people who are struggling with addiction or who are in a good place in their sobriety and recovery process. That's why I love entrepreneurship. It's always something to do. Here's the deal though, at the end of the day, if you go back to smoking weed, you're never going to give yourself the chance or the opportunity to fill that boredom, to fill that time that you now have. And I want to remind you of something very important, and I think you can relate to this. I was bored smoking weed. I was bored of weed addiction. Boredom was one of the primary reasons that I quit. And I have a feeling if you're watching today's video, it's actually boredom that you have in your addiction. That's actually one of the things that you probably hate about it the most. That's probably one of the reasons you want to quit, because life has become boring. That's what addiction does. It strips us of all the things in life that are important to us, all the things in life that are exciting to us, right? Anhedonia, feelings of a lack of joy in life, something that develops after addiction. It strips us of all those things. That's why you're quitting. Now, once you quit, yes, it's your responsibility to find activities, find hobbies, find relationships, find new things to fill in that time, but don't expect it to happen overnight. It's not going to. It took me several years throughout my recovery process to start to fill in that boredom. Now, that brings me to my next exciting piece of news for you guys. Most recently, I've been working on acquiring my New York State real estate license. And I'm doing this because I've always had an interest in real estate. I needed a little bit more on my plate. That's just the way I am. I think a lot of people who suffer from active addiction need a lot of activity going on in their lives, especially when you're in that, stable phase of your recovery process. And I'm getting my real estate license because what I hope to eventually do is be able to offer to pay for people in recovery to go apply for their own real estate licensing and hopefully help them with job placement down the line, or even build out a team of real estate agents one day that have, struggled with addiction, who are now getting on their feet or looking to add something more to their business or their plate. And this has always been a vision of Addiction Mindset. Our programs, the vision is to be able to employ people that we connect with, people who have gone through our programs, people who we've worked with. And we're kind of doing that now with some of the current revenue we have, but I think real estate is actually an excellent opportunity. You don't need a college degree. The studying for the exam isn't too bad, which in and of itself gives someone something to do in their recovery process, something to do to fill that boredom. And it provides the opportunity for entrepreneurship. It provides the opportunity for working for oneself. And I think most people who have struggled with active addiction, working for oneself is a good thing. The only caveat is, though, in some states you do need to have, you can't have a criminal record or anything like that. So we might run into some barriers, but we'll figure it out as we go over the next few weeks here. I'm hoping to wrap that up within a week, or no, about 2 or 3 weeks. I'm scheduled to sit for my exam. So if you follow the channel, if you find that fascinating, if you like the mission, if you want more free content, if you want a one-on-one call, if you want to join 80 people in our group coaching programs, we go live every Wednesday night where you can talk to me and my team. Check out the pinned comment, check out the video description, subscribe, share this information, whatever you want to do with it. Guys, it was a pleasure seeing you today. Follow me into the next video, if you don't go to one of those things, where I talk a little bit more about boredom and weed addiction.